Hey everybody, thank you for listening. This week I speak with a legend, although he would probably disagree with me for saying that. Michael Gira of Swans freezes his butt off to join me this week. And we discuss a lot of stuff. He's not one for looking back, but he did open up about running away and being sent to an Israeli prison as a teen, finding his way to New York to be a part of the no-wave scene, and a Swans guitarist who's been missing since the mid-'80s. He tells me a lot about who plays on the new Swans album, Leaving Meaning, and he gives us some great insight into the recording process. We pack a lot into a shorter episode, including what the next tour will look like and sound like. Follow Swans on social media to learn about tour dates. Follow us at PerformanceANX on Twitter and Instagram. Merchandise can be found at performanceanx.threadless.com. Now let's chat with Michael Gira of Swans.
This is Michael Gira. I am of the musical group Swans, and you are listening to Performance Anxiety.
You cut out again. I'm gonna try going outside. I might have better reception. Problem is I have bad internet here. I'm gonna go outside. It's a bit cold, but I'll just bundle up. I'll call you right back.
Okay, thank you. Oh, well, I appreciate it if that means anything.
It's okay.
Oh, well, I'll try not to keep you out in the cold for very long. So,
okay.
Phil, thank you for joining me today. I really do appreciate it. It means a lot.
My pleasure.
Especially since now you're out in the cold for me. That means a ton.
Well, I'll get some exercise. I'm pacing.
Oh, okay. Well, I want to know a little bit about the history of you and starting the band and how you got to where you are. So the first thing I wanted to know a little bit about is, when did you start playing music? Is that something that you did as a kid? Were you in school bands? Did you have a house full of music?
Oh, no. Not at all. I started out with the presumption that I would be an artist from a very young age, a visual artist.
Okay.
And I grew constantly. I went to art school. And around 77, I guess, 1977, when I was in art school, 78 maybe, no, 77, punk rock happened. And to me, I was going to those gigs all the time. I was instantly sucked in by it and loved it. It just seemed, music just seemed the kind of more immediate, visceral kind of way to make something happen,
right,
than being involved in what I viewed as an elitist art world, which once I had been in art school for a while, I realized I didn't really belong in the art world as a person, maybe as an artist. And I just gravitated towards punk, and I made some very bad music for a while, and then gradually found my sonic voice and found people to work with, of course, who helped contribute to the sound, and started I started a band in LA which broke up, but then I moved to New York City and started a band which broke up. And then finally I started Swans in about 1982.
Right.
And found my sonic voice with the help of other people as well, of course.
Now, those early albums are really heavy, very intense. And I know in doing some research on you, you spent, you ran away as a child when you got in trouble in California. Your dad took you to Europe. You ran away and you ended up spending your 16th birthday, I believe, in an adult jail in Jerusalem.
Yes, sir.
Did that?
And then I went to prison in Israel too after jail.
What was?
But only for a short time.
I get this weird image of it being like almost like a Turkish prison kind of a thing, like really frightening.
It was definitely not pleasant, and I was blue-eyed, blonde-haired boy. I was 15.
Yeah.
So you can imagine what that was like for me. But it was not like what's that movie? I forget. There's that movie, The Jail.
Midnight.
Yeah, it was not like that.
Yeah.
Israel's, well, it was definitely not pleasant, but it was more civilized than that. I just put it that way. But in any event, I guess my entire life experience relates to how I would approach music and art and sound, but it's not as if someone sits down with an instrument and starts working out how to make a song or a piece of music happen, and they say, I'm so angry about being in jail when I was a kid, so they make a piece of music. It's not like that. So I can't really recall all the sources that fed into that early music.
Okay.
I would just say that it felt right. It felt good in a certain way, and it felt necessary. Okay. So that's the sound we made.
So were you, around this time, when you were a teenager, were you picking up the guitar and learning to play the guitar then, or did that happen when...
No, that happened much later. I didn't start trying to work with playing any instrument at all until New York after my first band. And then this great composer named Rhys Chatham gave me a bass.
Oh, I love Rhys Chatham.
He wanted me to play on one of his pieces, and he said, "Here," he just showed me how to tune. He said, "Here, you just do this," and I did it, and I kept his bass, and then started figuring out how to make shit happen with the bass. And then, of course, I had other musicians around to we hashed things back and forth and made a sound that felt right.
I've had a couple of people who played with Rhys on. Robert Poss was on recently. Karen Hagloff. So I love Rhys's music. So I can definitely hear.
I haven't listened to it in years, but Rhys was always a true gentleman, a very sweet person. That's how I remember him.
Rhys is more of like doesn't compose traditional types of music. 400 music for 400 guitars and things like that. Is music like that a big influence on what you've done, the music you made in the past, as well as maybe the music now?
There was, again, I wouldn't say that we ever sat down to make music and said, well, here's our influences, now we're going to make this song.
Okay.
I would say that there were certain icons that I would have held up as sort of the apogee of what's possible, and they're varied. There would have been the Stooges in the early days.
Oh, okay.
And certainly... also, Glenn Branca, I played in one of his symphonies, Symphony Number 3, I believe it was.
Oh, cool.
And just watching him work and the way that this a true genius, the way that he gathered all these disparate forces together and made this music that was just transformative, and just this music that was just ecstatic. That was a kind of a inspiration, and not to sound like him, but to be able to reach those heights.
Right.
And another big influence in the early days would have been Suicide, of course.
Oh, yeah. Alan Vega.
I saw Suicide in L.A., and God, it must have been 77.
Oh, wow.
And then maybe it was 78. It was on the tour they did opening for the Cars.
Oh, my gosh.
And then when I arrived to New York, I saw Alan doing his solo shows repeatedly. And in fact, I think I probably became kind of bothersome backstage, hanging out with him and stuttering and trying to, just glean something from him. And I'm sure he said, "Go away, kid, you bother me." After a while,
like, Like an MG Robinson, go away, can't you bother me? Was that Groucho Marx?
Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of influences at the time. Kraftwerk would have been a huge influence. Brian Eno. Just in that, and the no New York music that was going on, of course. It was more influence would have been felt as the permission or the example of making something happen through sound rather than through virtuosic command of your instrument.
Oh, okay. So that's one reason why I think some of your music sounds so cinematic. It's very wide open, and it breathes a lot, and it's an amazing quality. It's especially in the new album. There's a lot of music that just it's not rushed. You just kind of let it develop by itself, and I think it's absolutely fantastic. You know, specifically like the title track, "Leading Meaning."
Great. Well, that song actually has a unusual genesis. I wrote it on acoustic guitar, and it's based on an acoustic guitar part. But I sent that to my heroes, the Necks. Do you know that group?
I've heard of them. I haven't listened to them, though.
Oh, man, you absolutely have to get everything they've ever released and listen to it. They're so good. They are loosely described as a jazz improv experimental group, but
cool.
Really what they do is they sit down and just start playing. I don't believe they ever have a prefigured plan of what they're going to play, but they're so intuitively connected with each other that they craft or they forge or they bring into being these unfolding clouds of sound, and it just keeps growing and building. And it's just a trap kit, a double bass, and a piano, grand piano, and just the overtones and the sense of kind of a cinematic space that they create. And so anyway, I'm a fan, and I sent them that song just on acoustic guitar and scratch vocal that my wife sang, and they orchestrated it, played to it, and after that, the musicians that I was working with on the album, we further orchestrated it. Wow. But they played that song and another song called "The Nub." Which is a song that Baby D sings.
Okay, that's another very intense song. That's one of the things that it's really impressive to me. It's some of the songs are very intense and heavy without lots of instrumentation. I guess the songs are I don't want to say sparse, but it's not overdub after overdub after overdub. Or at least it doesn't sound like it is.
Well, I'm glad it doesn't sound like it.
Yeah. Well,
I won't tell you the truth. Yeah. I won't tell you any track numbers, but it's frightening.
Oh my gosh, really? Well, you did it successfully then, because it sounds so. It almost sounds like it was, like you're saying, like an improv session. It's amazing.
Okay.
On the other hand, there's like songs like "What Is This," which sounds triumphant. It's very uplifting.
We
It's I really enjoyed the instrumentation on it, and I'm getting, I don't know, I get a lot of different. It's like a roller coaster listening to this album, so it's a really satisfying listen.
Oh, that's great to hear.
You're on? Are you on tour right now, or you just came back from a tour?
No. Yeah, I just came back from a solo tour of Eastern Europe with my good friend Norman Westwood.
Oh, okay, and I've read that on the I believe in an upcoming tour, or maybe it was this past one, where you're going to be playing only a handful of tracks from this and some newer unrecorded pieces.
I'm sorry. So you're saying on the coming Swans tour?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I've gathered various people together who will be Swans in 2020.
Okay.
Just for the period of the touring. And those people are Ben Frost, who's a great electronic musician, also a great arranger and player. He's going to play synthesizer, mellotron, and electric guitar. I'll be playing acoustic guitar, electric guitar, and singing. Christoph Hahn, who has played with me in Swans and my group Angels Flight, will be playing lap steel, loops, and electric guitar. Dana Schechter, who played with me in Angels of Light, will be playing bass, also lap steel and some loops. And Christopher Pravdika, who was in the previous incarnation of Swans from 2010 to 2017, will be playing bass also, and will be generating various non-musical sounds as well as playing some keyboards. And Phil Puleo, who was another veteran of Swans and Angels of Light, will be playing drums and percussion and little keyboards. Oh, awesome. And we'll all be sitting chamber style.
Oh, cool.
And hopefully generating some good sounds. And yes, we'll be playing material from this current album, as well as new pieces I hope to compose before we start rehearsing in March. And we'll see what happens. I'm not really interested in replicating the album at all in the songs that we'll be doing. I just want to have the basic song and then see how this group interprets it. And it can go where it goes. And even if it leaves the song behind after a certain point, that'll be fine with me.
Oh, that sounds amazing. I love that kind of stuff. And will each night be sort of improv on those new compositions, or is it going to be a basic structure that's set ahead of time?
Well, that remains to be seen. But see,
that's fair.
This previous incarnation of Swans that lasted from 2010 to 2017, we would have set pieces of music, but then we would take them, and similarly to the way I described the next, we'd just let the music kind of grow and unfold, and we would follow it more than play it. And that involved improvisation, but not in the sense of soloing or drawing attention to yourself as a musician. It was more about building a sound that we could lose ourselves in, and consequently the audience, hopefully, as well. But so that's what we'll be doing, taking a basis and then just finding out where it goes. I don't want to try to replicate the album. To me, that's just kind of like a prison cell. It doesn't really interest me.
Okay. Is that why you don't play very many of, if any, of your older tracks when you go out on tour?
Well, they feel like dead meat.
Okay.
And I have my own record company, and people come to Swans for a certain kind of experience anyway, so it's not like I really need to promote the catalog or worry about the history of it or anything. I'm just more interested in making it occur in the present moment.
So it's not about playing all the hits, so to speak.
Sorry, play the what? The hits?
Playing all the hits, so to speak.
Yeah, well, there aren't any, so it's okay.
Well, I asked a few people on some of the listeners of the show. I mentioned that I was going to have you on, and if they had any questions, and I think some of your fans would beg to differ on that. They've definitely got some opinions. In fact, one of the things they said was that there are so many albums that fans consider masterpieces. I mean, they threw out like 4 or 5 albums. Do you look upon them like that? You know, albums like Children of God and all of the. Do you look at those?
Well, I don't really look upon them at all.
Okay, that's fair.
I mean, they're just detritus. This kind of stuff that's floating in the water after the disaster has happened.
So you really don't worry about a Swans legacy then?
Well, it's there, whatever. If people want to discover the music, they can.
Right.
And I'm happy if they do so. But just from the, I have a short time on Earth, so I want to try to do something that is challenging and that kind of reifies me as a human being. And so I'm going to make something happen in the present. This
coming tour, and I've gone back and listened to some interviews that you've done in the past, and you've mentioned that some of the Swan tours, you want them to be an experience for the audience, and in the past you've done things where the audience has been locked into venues and you've played in complete darkness. I think there was one where
very long time ago.
Yeah, exactly. There's an old interview, but is there anything that you're going to be doing to enhance the experience on the upcoming tour, or is it just this is
Well, no. I mean, to me, I'm not a fan of light shows. In fact, we have none. I'm not a fan of videos. I'm not a fan of anything that detracts from the performance. So the enhancement will be how well we perform and how much it communicates to the audience. So like that there.
Okay. Well, from the bits that I've seen, it's, you don't really, like you said, a light show would detract from the show. So why bother with something like that when you've got everything you need? Why
bother with something? Oh, like what?
Like lighting and having a lighting director and doing videos.
Yeah, well, I don't know. We've played a lot of festivals the last 10 years, and I'm always repulsed by all the hoopla and fancy gizmos and smoke and flashing lights, and it just kind of grosses me out. If you think of if you look at videos of early Pink Floyd, say around Uma Guma, light show was almost nothing. They were great.
Yeah.
And or if you look at a great performer like Nina Simone, for instance, just sitting at a piano with a light on her, that's to me more transforming and powerful than any kind of overblown rock presentation or pop presentation.
That's very true. I have a question about some of your instruments and how you get some of the sounds that you've created, especially on the new album, Leaving Meaning. You get some really frightening sounds out of your guitar. Some crazy feedback squalls and do you use a...
That's probably not me. Not me. I'm pretty rudimentary. On this record, I didn't play any electric guitar.
Oh, okay.
So you're probably thinking of, you could be, if you name a song, I could tell you, but you're probably thinking of Christoph.
Okay, yeah.
Christoph Hahn.
Specifically, The Hanging Man is the one that comes to mind.
Well, that has both Christoph playing his lap steel, and it has Ben Frost also playing electric guitar, and it has Ben Frost playing synthesizer, and I don't recall if there's any keyboards blowing about in there. I'm not sure there is. Yeah, that song's pretty rudimentary. So that's That's what I recall on that song.
Okay. Well, do you use...
Oh, yeah. Christopher Plazika is playing some of the aforementioned non-musical sounds coming in and out here and there.
Oh, yeah, that's probably what I'm thinking of then.
Yeah, I think maybe Norman does too, Norman Westbrook. But, yeah, I don't know. It's just trying to build an atmosphere. But as far as, yeah, on this record, I don't believe I played it. No, I did play a couple little things with electric guitar, but mostly it was me playing acoustic guitar with my thumb in the way I do, strumming down with my thumb, which makes it kind of this bassy sounding instrument.
Right. Oh, okay. Do you using standard tuning, or do you use any weird tunings on this to get the depth?
Not anymore. I did that for a while in the 90s, but it proved to be very problematic live, having to have several guitars, so I stopped. And these days, all the most adventurous tuning I do is just a drop D.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I have done a drop B.
Oh, really? Wow. Oh, my God. That's got to be one loose string. Oh, my God. Speaking, going back to the Hanging Man, it's this whole album specifically, I guess, it's very much cinematic, like I said before, and very, it's like, to me, it's almost like an audible version of like a De Goya painting or Hieronymus Bosch. And it's really a lot different than the things that are being released today. And I think that's what I love about it, that the songs are given the chance to breathe and to come alive. You know, you're not like 10 seconds in, the chorus doesn't come in, and there's songs like Leaving Meaning and The Nub where a couple minutes go by before there's any vocals, and it's very much different than what a lot of people will be listening to. And I'm anxious. I hope you come to my area when you tour with Swans, because I definitely want to see this played out live. The few songs that you are going to play live, but I do want to experience.
Yeah, it'll be a lot different. But yeah, well, thank you for that. But all I could say is, yeah. Awesome.
Now, you've had new albums in 2010, 2012, 2014, 16, 19. Is this a trend that's going to continue? Because there's a huge gap for a while when Swans disbanded. Do you see this as?
Well, I was making records with my group called Angels of Light,
right?
In the interim. Regrettably, that never really made much of a dent on the public consciousness, but nevertheless, I think they're good records. But that's what I was doing in the interim, and I also was releasing records on my label by a bunch of other people. But eventually that became financially untenable and unrewarding. So at around 2010, I just said, well, the hatch that leads down to hell has just opened. Do I dive into it and experience complete financial ruin, or do I start Swans again? So I started Swans.
I think made the right decision there. Like I mentioned before, I threw out that I was going to have you on, and I had a couple people ask me some questions, and one kind of stuck out to me, and I wanted to ask you this. It's dealing with the really early days of Swans. Somebody mentioned that you had a guitarist, and then she kind of disappeared. Sue Hanel, and they were wondering if you
disappeared. It's true. I have no idea where she is or what became of her.
Wow. I tried to do.
You know, she left the group, and then you'd see her around town every once in a while, and then eventually we just didn't see her around town anymore. So I don't know what happened to her.
I saw
she was amazing. She made this incredible sound. It was just like, I don't know, it sounded like 10 guitars at once. Truly amazing. But then we'd have a groove worked out, and she played this amazing part. And then the next time we go to play the song, what she would play would have absolutely zero to do with what she did before.
Oh, jeez.
And it was, so, I mean, there's improvisation is great, but it had nothing to do with the feel of the song. So that was a problem,
Yeah, I can imagine.
But when she was on, man, she was amazing.
I heard a couple. Once I saw that question pop up, I decided to see if I could find any Swans music with her or anything she had done after Swans or even before Swans, and I found a couple of weird tracks, and I can hear what you're saying as far as 10 guitars at once from the little bit that I've heard, and I would love to find out what if she had done anything else.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea what happened to her.
Another question was, are you planning on doing any more writing? Are you going to be releasing any more books?
Well, plan is one thing. I mean, I don't even have time to write seriously. I take that occupation very serious, so just doing it in my spare time occasionally it doesn't work. Right. So if I have a year to just shut myself off from everything and write, then yes, probably. I don't foresee that in the near future, but I hope to do it. It's kind of what I had envisioned as I get older and maybe too old to tour. What I had envisioned what I would do, but we'll see.
Okay. I know I'm keeping you a little bit late and you're outside, so I don't want you to freeze to death. But I do have one question about I guess your songwriting in general. When you go in and record a Swans album, do you have songs in mind, and are they? Do you have?
Yes.
Okay, are they reworked a lot in the studio?
Yeah, I mean, I write the songs, and then I have enough for a record, and maybe a couple more. Sometimes I'll have a couple more, usually not, and then I'll take them into the studio with other musicians, and then we start playing them, and they naturally transform. I want them to transform. On this record, the basic structure is hewed pretty closely to what I have on guitar, and then the orchestrations, of course, are a whole different matter. That would give it the cinematic or the kind of visual quality that you might associate with them. But yeah, everything's planned out, and I write out charts, not charts in a musical sense, but I write out graphs, I guess,
okay,
of instruments and what to come in where and who's playing where, and then usually as soon as I start playing with other musicians, it kind of just takes on its own feel, and then I follow that and guide that along the way. But the other musicians have a great effect on how the music sounds. They always have. I'm just in this position where I'm kind of the final arbiter, the kind of person that says no, this, not that.
Right.
But I definitely want musicians that express themselves in the music. Otherwise, they just would be like studio acts, and that doesn't interest me. Right.
Well, yeah, exactly. They just be hired guns and not a member of Swans.
Yeah. So I always want people to surprise me, and that's the best thing is when they do something I didn't expect, and then I incorporate that, of course.
And that sounds like it's what happens live as well. And that one reason I'm dying to come and see you guys live. Do you have anything set up for a U.S. tour, or is that hopefully in the works, maybe?
Oh, yeah, that's about to be announced.
Oh, wonderful. That's fantastic. See, here's the thing. I was listening to your album, and the way it sounds so natural and intense, it makes me want to do more in that vein. I went to college for photography and been a professional photographer for a number of years before I started a family and had to get a quote unquote real job for insurance and everything. And the music is making me want to get more experimental with my photography and just stretch my own boundaries. So,
that's great.
So thank you for that. And hopefully, if you come to the Washington D.C. area, I can get a chance to see you and maybe bring my camera and take some shots of the show.
Oh, great! Thanks, Mark.
Thank you so much. I'll let you get inside, get warmed up, and do your next interview.
All right. Thanks a lot. I really appreciate your interest.